first time viewer, welcome back. If you are a returning viewer, thank you for your likes, your comments, your subscribes, and to those of you who have booked a personal reading with me, please keep in mind that these are general messages, so do not take them personally. If you would like to book a personal reading with me, you can find that information in the description box below. So let's get into the message. The message that I received today is sometimes protection is just another way of saying you are not ready to grow by blocking your insight or perspective from a point of view that exists outside of your own. So sometimes we can set certain boundaries or set certain rules or laws or standards, for lack of a better words, right? That we may consider a way of being protecting ourselves, when really it's just a way of placing you in an area that is, again, preventing you from growing, right? So let's pull some cards to see what messages come out. You have to be aware enough to know the difference between a healthy boundary and a boundary that's just stunting your growth, right? So you have to be aware of the difference between the two, right? And sometimes a boundary can be healthy in some situations, and in other situations it can stunt your growth, right? So take it how it resonates. What message do you have for the collective at this time? Help me to articulate a clear and concise message in order for it to be received in the way that you want it to best be received. Help me to see what it is I need to see to get the message across as clear as possible. And help me to deliver any messages that you deem worthy in order to serve your highest good, for the highest good of humanity with harm to none. What messages do you have for the collective at this time? What messages do you have for the collective at this time? So you have Star Brothers, Lost Lands, the Cosmic Heart, and You Are Not Alone at the bottom of the deck. So again, the Star Brothers definitely speaks to protection. It speaks to loyalty, safety, trust, soul memories and gifts, devotion, potency, make your life a moving prayer, isolation, physical connection, and community, right? So maybe you're in a place where you are being called to expand in a certain area, or you're being called to grow within a certain aspect of yourself, right? But instead you are kind of remaining firm in this certain belief that you have, in this certain stance that you're holding, within this certain mindset, maybe, right? It's going to resonate for each of you differently. But whatever it is, you feel safe and secure behind this specific boundary, when in reality you are being called to, or the universe is challenging this boundary, right? Because it's not necessarily asking you to remove the boundary as a whole, but to place yourself within certain, how can I put this into words? It's almost as if you're being challenged to kind of grow within the area of this boundary, right? You are being called to move forward within a certain aspect, right? So maybe you have a certain belief, right? Or maybe you have a certain way of thinking, or a certain mindset, or certain habits, right? That you are, maybe you feel as if you're protecting your emotions in a sense, right? When the universe is challenging you to not remove, or not to make yourself so vulnerable within this aspect that you are that you place yourself in a position to be taken advantage of, but you're being called to be more open, to be more vulnerable within this aspect, right? So again, you're not being challenged to remove the boundary as a whole, but you're being challenged to grow within a certain aspect surrounding this boundary, right? That you are hiding behind the safety and security of whatever this is that you have placed around yourself and disguising it as protection, right? So let's pull some tarot to see what messages come out. Okay. Mm. Clarify, Star Brothers. Right. So I'm sensing an energy of like solitude here, where you kind of have this, you've created this space for yourself where you, it's just kind of like you, and you're surrounded by your work, you're surrounded by something that you're building, you're surrounded by something that you are creating. Not to say that there are not other individuals around, but it's more so like there is no specific bond or connection or tie that you have to another resource outside of what it is that you're creating, right? You find a sense of peace, you find a sense of safety and security within remaining independent within whatever this is that you're creating, right? And so maybe you're being challenged to bring in a new business partner. Maybe you're being challenged to bring in or to explore a new partnership, or to explore a new friendship, or to include certain family members. Or maybe you're being challenged to expand your resources in a way that takes you outside of this comfort zone between what it is, between yourself and what it is that you have created, right? Because the Four of Swords represents some sort of meditation, right? It represents a stillness, but sometimes can also be like, yeah, the Eight of Wands. You've kind of like created this distance, right, between yourself and maybe how you communicate, maybe how you express yourself, right? The Pentacles in general speak to practical matters, right? It speaks to real world things, right? It's not anything outside of what this reality, or what exists within this reality, right? Again, it's practical matters, right? The practicality of something, the realism of something, right? So maybe you have distanced yourself from anything that does not bring forth anything that exists outside of the practicality of something, right? I hope that makes sense. So maybe you have distanced yourself from emotions, right? Because you feel like connecting to your emotions can kind of take you off of this path, or become a distraction from what it is that you're building. Maybe you have distanced yourself from this idea of dreaming because you're more focused on what you could create within this reality, right? But it's in that space of dreaming, it's in that space of meditation, it's in that space of creating the vision in which you are able to bring forth or put action towards these practical matters within the reality, right? So again, there's a bridging, right? There's, again, you creating this mindset or creating this aspect in which you feel as if you're protecting yourself from, but in reality you are just creating a hindrance because you are distancing yourself from bonding towards something that is real within your reality, right? Dreams are real, visions are real, right? You have to envision certain things in order to bring them into your reality. You have to connect yourself to certain passions and to certain desires in order to feel a connection with them enough to want to bring them to life, right? So distancing yourself from these aspects, from these viewpoints, from these perspectives, from these feelings, emotions, whatever it may be from you, that's not, again, it's not protecting. It is creating a boundary that is stunting your growth in that sense, right? So clarify lost lands. So definitely keep in mind, right? The King of Pentacles is action oriented, right? He's somebody who has very strong morals, very strong family traditions and values, right? And the King of Pentacles is speaks to an individual who does things from a very traditional sense, right? They don't necessarily venture outside of their traditional beliefs, right? So again, you're being called to explore something outside of what it is that you feel that you're protecting yourself from, right? He's very committed, he's very disciplined, very wealthy, very firm in their beliefs, right? But again, this is somebody who can be very focused on their work, very focused on, again, whatever it is that you're creating, right? Pentacles can represent many things, right? You can create peace, you can create new ideas, you can create wealth within many different areas, you can create an abundance of finances, right? It, again, Pentacles speaks to currency, right? So the King of Pentacles is very focused on expanding their currency within action oriented matters, right? So clarify lost lands. The Fool and the Four of Wands, right? But spiritually, you feel. Look at all this yellow here. Let me look up because yellow speaks to clarity, right? It gives sun energy. The King of Pentacles, strategy, practicality, right? The King of Pentacles is not necessarily a dreamer, but is somebody who works off the facts of life, right? Somebody who works off of factual matters, right? So again, it's kind of aligning with the King of Pentacles, where even if you feel spiritually called to something, or even if you feel intuitively guided, or you feel like a yearning or a desire, right? You don't necessarily. The King of Pentacles is not someone who goes off of their desires, right? They follow their practical matters. The King of Swords is not someone who follows a dream. They're someone who goes off of the facts, right? Scientific matters. What makes the most sense? But let me just look up what yellow, like the color yellow, because there's a lot of yellow here on the board. Yellow speaks to optimism. It speaks to enlightenment, remembrance, intellect, honor, loyalty, joy, right? Communication, and can spark creative thoughts, right? So again, that's what I was just referring to, right? How the King of Pentacles and the King of Swords are not really dreamers. They go off of the practicality of what exists in reality. Yellow is a color of happiness, cheerfulness, and fun, but also of the mind and intellect. It is a striking color that enhances creativity and helps with clear thinking. That's King of Pentacles. Still, a color with such an impactful spirit also has negative traits. Yellow can induce anxiety and distress and can cause people to be overcritical. Okay. Okay, so yeah, Definitely being called to the Fool and the Four of Wands is giving that joy and that hopefulness, right? It's giving that sense that, remember, the Four of Wands is, it speaks to a connection, right? It speaks to the stability and the security of something, right? It can sometimes be like the marriage card. So again, the King of Pentacles, commitment. So a lot. So maybe this is family matters in a sense. Maybe this is committing yourself to a bond, a connection, um, something that reflects a mirror within who you are, what you display, right? But this, again, this is also referring, the Fool is like someone who takes a leap of faith. So it could be that you feel as if you're protecting yourself from aligning yourself within connections that put you in this Fool energy, right? The Fool doesn't necessarily have control of their impulses. There's somebody who just lives in this spontaneous and adventurous energy, right? They don't necessarily have a lot of responsibilities. They don't necessarily think things through, right? So maybe you feel as if you are protecting yourself from falling in this sense of not having control over your emotions, right? Because the Four of Wands can speak to like a security within your passion and your desires, right? Um, so it could be that you are, yeah, with the Knight of Cups underneath the King of Swords is the Knight of Cups, and then you got the Five of Wands underneath, right? And now I'm seeing the Queen of Cups under here too. Look, see, yep, the Queen of Cups. So it could be that you're trying to remain intellectual or trying to remain mindful of your emotions, trying to remain mindful of your feelings, right? Because you don't want to cause conflict within the reality of things. You almost don't want to fall into like this dreamlike state, right? This, how can I put it into words? This illusion that love can sometimes put us in, or that our emotions can sometimes place us in, right? You're um trying to rationalize your emotions is what's causing this sense of conflict, right? The Five of Wands represents conflict. It represents chaos. It represents a shift within your passionate desires, right? So it could be that you are having trouble with remaining balanced within your emotions, right? Because you have the Queen of Cups here, somebody who's very giving, she's very nurturing, very loving, right? She gives with her whole heart. She pours all of her emotions into whatever it is that she is trying to create, or whatever it is that she feels that she needs to take care of, right? So again, if you are trying to hide behind rationalizing your emotions, it's creating a conflict because you're not um existing within the energy that each of them brings, right? So again, you can't think about your emotions and you can't feel your thoughts. Does that make sense, right? Because again, your emotions are magnetic, right? They attract, and your thoughts are electric, right? It's a static energy. So if you, it's almost as if you're being encouraged to kind of release this energy of what it is that you're feeling that you're trying to protect yourself from, right? You are being encouraged to kind of take a leap of faith towards whatever it is that you're being called to build a connection within, right? Because the Five of Wands also speaks to challenges. And the King of Swords is not someone who's connected to their emotions, right? Remember, this cup is empty, but they're also looking in it as if they're desiring to drink from it, right? So if you are desiring to experience an emotion and a sense of emotional fulfillment within a certain aspect, you have to be willing to connect to your emotions within that sense. Because again, I'm being like focused on the butterflies, right? Changing your mindset, changing your strategy, changing the way you perceive something, right? Embracing something. That's that yellow energy. Embracing the warmth of something, right? See, now the yellow is here. Grounding yourself within the warmth of embracing a connection to your emotions, right? Not trying to overthink how you feel, not trying to intellectualize your emotions, right? Because you can't think about your feelings. You can think your thoughts and you can feel your feelings. And you can use them both in tandem to balance the two. But you cannot think your emotions and you cannot feel your thoughts, right? So that's the challenge here. You're being called to kind of exist within the duality of both so that you're able to receive this sense of fulfillment within your emotions. You're able to quench your thirst, right? Within this, because this Knight of Cups, his cup is empty. But it's also as if it's like desiring to achieve or desiring to fulfill some sort of emotional connection, right? Some sort of emotional fulfillment. But you can't receive that if you yourself are not in touch with it, right? Again, magnetizing energy. If you're not in touch with your emotions, you can't receive the polarizing energy that your emotions bring, right? So again, the Knight of Cups is someone who's very romantic, very charming. It's like Prince Charming energy. So if you are trying to, again, over rationalize that, it's going to cause some sense of conflict between the two. Clarify Cosmic Heart. This is the connection. The Hierophant and the Six of Wands. Making your desires known. Committing to exposing yourself within this sense, right? Within the Magician. Using your resources. Finding balance within what it is that you have created for yourself, right? So again, finding balance within using your mind, your body, your heart, your soul. Again, knowing when to use your mind, knowing when to use your heart, knowing when to use your passionate desires, right? And knowing when to use your resources. Finding the balance between the two. And using the alchemy of all of these resources to create a sense of success within what it is that you're trying to create, the foresight that you're trying to bring to life, right? Remember that the Hierophant has the gift of foresight, right? They have the ability to foresee things within the physical reality. But the Hierophant is also very traditional. They have a very strong sense of morals and values, right? With the King of Pentacles. So the Hierophant, the King of Pentacles, and the Four of Wands is 100% a marriage of some sort. It's committing yourself to the passionate desire of something. Again, this can be your family, it can be traditional values, morals, right? But it's marriage, it's commitment, it's discipline, right? To a connection, to a bond that you're trying to form. Not 1 foot in and 1 foot out, but again, the Fool, jumping in head first, all the way, both feet forward, in order to receive some sense of success, in order to receive some sense of accolades that you're trying to fulfill within this area, right? And whatever it is that you're trying to create or connect yourself or bond yourself to. So let's pull 4 cards, one card for what we can learn. Again, this can be anything, right? This can be a business that you're trying to bring to life. This can be a family that you're trying to create. This can be a skill that you're trying to learn in order to contribute to your growth and expansion of knowledge in some way. This can be a partnership of some sort, a friendship, right? Whatever it is that you're trying to connect yourself to, or whatever you're trying to bond or commit yourself to, right? In order to gain that sense of success, you have to learn how to balance the alchemy of your resources, right? Knowing when to apply your strategy, knowing when to apply your passion, knowing when to apply or invoke some sort of emotion, and knowing when to apply or give some sort of resources, right? So, one card for what we can learn as the major lesson regarding this message: sacred lust with awakening, knowing how to, learning how to be vulnerable in a sense, knowing how to, again, you have the duality here, knowing how to, again, there's a lot of yellow and blue here, right? You see the blue here matches. There's definitely embracing your emotions in some sort of way, right? Embracing the connection that you have to your emotions, right? Not hiding them, not pushing them to the side, not burying them, but embracing them. Again, bringing them to the forefront, because again, the illusion is that by pushing them down or by not acknowledging them, you feel as if you're protecting yourself from them in a sense, but you're not protecting yourself, right? You're being called to challenge. The universe is, or God, the Most High, is challenging you to be vulnerable in a sense, so that you can feel more comfortable within expressing yourself within this specific manner emotionally, embracing your vulnerable side, embracing being open emotionally, having the courage to express yourself, having the courage to show emotions within some sort, right? The 2 and the 6 is 8, abundance, a flow state, right? Creating a giving and receiving, generosity, right? I just did a reading on generosity, so if you are watching this video, there may be a message in that reading for you. It's called Greed versus Generosity. Feel free to watch it if you feel called. But again, awakening yourself to connecting yourself to your emotions, being vulnerable within your emotions, expressing yourself emotionally, right? Being vulnerable, being open, enlightening yourself to a different level of emotional intelligence, emotional awareness within a sense, right? One card for the opportunities that we can create regarding this message. One card for the opportunities in which we can create regarding this message. Only one. I'll look at them though. Divine lineage and shine, right? So growth, and you see the water here and the yellow, making yourself aware of how you can contribute to, or how you can grow your legacy. Right? Okay, so I'll keep them. I was going to put them back, but I'll keep them. It definitely resonates with the message. So again, the 6 card, you got the 6 here, success, right? Creating some sense of growth within your legacy regarding expanding yourself within this level of protection, right? Fearless love, embracing, right? Oshun, she is the goddess of the rivers and the lakes, right? The sweet waters, right? She embraces her love, right? She's dripped in gold, right? She's not afraid. Oshun is represented by the color yellow, right? She's warm. She's very loving, right? So again, not being afraid to embrace that romantic side, right? Embrace that level of romanticism, or Prince Charming or princess energy, right? Not being afraid to, it's like Cinderella energy, right? The prince and the princess. They're both very wealthy within their own way, both very successful, but they're both very open and connected to their emotions and not afraid to give, not afraid to show a level of vulnerability, right? Even though they remain firm within their boundaries, they remain firm within the control of their heart, right? And who has access to them, right? So again, they protect themselves within that way, as they have the control of who has access to them and what level that they have access to their emotions, right? But they're not afraid to show emotions. They're not afraid to be vulnerable. They're not afraid to express their pain or their desires for something, because they know that whoever they choose to express themselves to, or whoever they choose to be vulnerable with, they know that they're still protected within that manner, because they have a certain intellect about who, and a certain awareness within who to be vulnerable with and how vulnerable they have to be within certain situations. I hope that makes sense, right? So again, expanding your legacy within this way, expanding your growth and your desires within connecting to the certain aspect of yourself that you have been trying to keep protected, in a sense. One card for what we can meditate on as the focus of this message. And this came out together because it speaks to the growth and expansion within your emotional awareness, within your emotional intelligence, right? Pouring into something is actually contributing to the growth of your firm foundation that you are creating, right? Pouring in your emotions, connecting to something is feeding the seed. It's nurturing the seed so that it has the ability to grow strong and firm, right? So opening yourself up is not making you weak. It's contributing to your strength. Meditating, grounding, right? I didn't even pay attention, but there's grounding here. Remember, I just said that. Worthiness. Meditating on what it is that you find valuable enough to continue to grow. That's King of Pentacles. What do you feel is worthy of committing to? What do you feel is worthy of feeding? What do you feel is worthy of creating? The 3, creating a sense of abundance, right? Creating that flow state where you're able to equally give and receive so that it is able to give birth to something, right? It takes the sun, the soil, and water and able to grow the seed, right? You can't just grow something with soil and sun, right? Because that'll just dry it out and make it shrivel. You can't create something with just water and soil because you need the warmth of the sun in order to dry up the soil, because if you don't have the sun, the soil will just become like a muddy mess and you can't grow something from that, right? So again, you have to have the elements of all 3, mind, body, and soul. You have to be connected and grounded within the alignment of all 3, right? You can't build a firm found connection with just your thoughts and your emotions because there's no spiritual desire, right? You can't just create something with your emotions and your spirit because you don't have the intellect or the strategy to bring it to life, right? So again, you need the connection of all 3, mind, body, soul, your heart, your mind, and your emotions in order to, or your mind, your emotions, and your spirit in order to bring life to something to create a firm foundation, right? So again, meditating on the value in what you feel you should align yourself to in order to create something. One card for what we can innovate regarding our habits in order to increase the growth and expansion within certain cycles. Okay, again, 2 cards. We have good juju and miracles with joy, right? That's that yellow energy. Yellow energy all over. This whole message is yellow, right? Miracles, good juju, and joy, right? Remember, it's the warmth, it's the happiness, it's the peace, it's the alignment that you have created, right? So again, innovating new ways to experience joy within being vulnerable, experience joy within the balance of your mind and your heart and your spirit, right? Within whatever it is that you're creating and aligning yourself to in order for it to create that wealthy abundance and that which you foresee, that which you're trying to bring to life, that which you are committing yourself to, right? But that is the message that I have for you guys. I hope that it resonated. I know that if you made it to the end of this video, you have found something in it that is worthy and valuable to you. Have a good one. Bye.